My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to This Song Is Yours, a music podcast where we chat to a new guest each week, talk about their life and creative endeavours, and talk to them about some of the music they love. Our show works by chatting to our guests about music, their songwriting technique, and occasionally getting them to make you a playlist of the songs they love. Welcome to episode 129. I'm your host, Simon Fink. Our guest today is Mild Orange. The New Zealand-based dream pop band are releasing their third studio record tomorrow, entitled Looking for Space. In today's episode, we're speaking with frontman Mehrt about recording at Roundhead Studios, battling through illness while making a record, and touring in 2022. Here we go. Our guest today is the frontman from one of the most exciting indie rock and dream pop bands to come out of New Zealand. Tomorrow, they'll be releasing their third full-length record, entitled Looking for Space. Please welcome to This Song Is Yours from Mild Orange, Mehrt. Good morning. How are we?
Kia ora. Good morning. We're good. Sitting here in Arrowtown. It's quite muggy. Yeah, it's a lovely day.
It is, whereabouts is... where did you say the town was, sorry?
Sorry, Arrowtown.
Arrowtown.
It's like, you know where Queenstown is?
Yes.
It's lower South Island, amongst the mountains. Arrowtown's like a 20-minute drive from Queenstown, but it's like a small wee gold mining town. It's like 5,000 people, but that's where my family's from. That's where I grew up.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the music scene like? Obviously, New Zealand is famous for quite a few incredible bands, but what is the music scene like in that smaller community?
In Arrowtown?
Yeah.
It's actually quite awesome. So, like, the biggest night of the week is Wednesday night, surprisingly, and there's like a little kind of hole in the wall speakeasy sort of bar on the main drag. If you can picture like a Wild West movie set, there's like a the main street and there's like a saloon and stuff. Like, that's kind of what Arrowtown's like. And then you go into this little like old stone sort of bunker, and there's a place called the Blue Door, and every Wednesday night it's like open mic and like bands play, and it ends up getting pretty rowdy. It's like pretty awesome for a town our size. And then there's big gigs come here every year. We've had some pretty world-renowned artists come and play here because it's just so beautiful. Yeah, it's a cool place, very inspiring.
Definitely will be adding. I think we're trying to get across to do some podcast stuff in New Zealand later in the year, so definitely we'll add that to the itinerary.
Yeah, good spot to park up.
The reason why we're talking today, this week is a very exciting week. Looking for Space is coming out, the third record by Mild Orange. Congratulations. It's an exciting time.
Thank you. Yeah, stoked to share it with everyone.
Yeah, of course. It is the third record by yourselves. And I was going to say like third studio record, but I know this is the first one where there's been like a premiere studio, or like not a home or house kind of studio.
That term's quite confusing, eh? That term's kind of, because I always think like, you got like, it's always broken down kind of into that duality of live albums and studio albums, and then like studios, anything that isn't live kind of. But then like we've done everything in bedrooms or living rooms, holiday houses and stuff. And then, so now we've been like half in a proper studio. There was five recording spaces, which were holiday homes, beach houses, and then the sixth space was the Roundhead Studios in Auckland. So yeah, I guess it's maybe halfway there to being a studio album. I don't know what we call it, or home recording, home recording, half studio.
Well, I think it's still kind of, as you said, if it's not a live recording, it kind of falls into that category of like a studio recording, regardless of whether it's a home studio or what it may be. So I think it still kind of counts.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, we've always tried to make it not feel like it's a home recording anyways, like trying to, like, so you don't notice so much that it's super DIY, but I think from going out to all the different spaces we get, there's definitely like sound influences you hear, like those little like waves and things every so often. I'll just sneak little sound bites from each place, which you wouldn't find in a studio. So yeah, it's beauty.
Yeah. How did you find the process? Because as we just said, like it's the first time where you have included like sessions from Roundhead.
Yeah.
What was the process like, I guess, going from your usual recording space to somewhere like Roundhead? Because I imagine that the two processes are very different in terms of recording and kind of having your setup work.
Yeah, so up until Roundhead, we'd always had like all our own mics and all our gear, and it's all just running into my laptop, and I'll be doing running Ableton sessions and stuff. But and we're kind of on our own time frame. We can make noise whenever we like and stuff. But Roundhead, it's different when you're going into a studio, because then you're on kind of their time and you're in working with their gear, and it's all unfamiliar. But thankfully, so we're working with Paddy Hill, who's the studio manager of Roundhead, who's now a dear friend of mine. So because we've been through thick and thin through making this record together over the past year. Paddy's been he's been at Roundhead for, I don't know, like 5 years or so. He knows that place inside out. And so when we're in there, it's kind of like, we'll dream big, and Paddy's able to help us realize those ideas. And it's, for me, it was quite different because I wasn't hands-on running operating the ship while we were in Roundhead. And, and stepping back a bit and letting Paddy run the file projects and stuff was quite different for me, but we were quite good working together, very well collaborating. And then it was actually after because the files were now living in the Roundhead system. We're taking a lot of the home recordings and put them into the Roundhead system, and we began mixing the rest of the album in there. And then I got there was lockdowns in New Zealand, and I wasn't able to go to the recording studio anymore because I was living in New Plymouth and it was in Auckland. So then Paddy would end up running the studio via Zoom. Like I would see the studio and all of the files and stuff running on my screen via Zoom, and Paddy sitting there, and then he'd send the audio out through like another app online, and I'll be hearing the studio too, and we'd be doing these like super long mixing sessions together via correspondence, and it was quite a cool process. So I don't know, I guess like with every space we've gone to, the process is always different, and I love that about never recording in the same place really, and always moving around, and the influence different spaces have on you. I love it. It keeps the whole process fresh.
Yeah, of course. Well, I imagine that from what you've just explained, that even that process of having to kind of, as someone who's driven the previous two records, that even having to do part of this like across Zoom is a whole new experience as well for part of it. Yeah,
it's tricky. It was good though. It was good. I was running, so it would still run through my monitors in New Plymouth, and I could sit there, and Paddy had the whole file up, and so we're able to make calls together and on things, and yeah, so it's pretty cool. Like one of them that was entirely done would be kind of like colorized. We did a lot of mixing on the first track, but Paddy had done like that song was completely recorded in Roundhead. Yeah, versus like a song like Oh Yeah, where I had done the complete mix, and then we'd just run it through the desk in Roundhead to give it this new texture and sort of tape saturation. Yeah, I like it. Each song has its own little character from a different process, but they're all united by the mild orangeness.
It does work very well. The record has like a cohesive body, but yeah, there are like little identities to each track. I feel like Aurora was a song that really kind of showcased Mild Orange and the band's sound, and also the kind of step that this record has taken, because sonically it is a bit of a step forward. It's not just a difference in studios, whatever. Like there is a bit of a bigger, more expansive sound to the record this time around, I feel. What was the...
I agree.
Yeah, what was the inspiration behind this new, I guess, this step forward for Mild Orange?
Well, we're always trying to like kind of continue to do better and one up ourselves, I guess. Like, so yeah, really upping the quality and texture of the sound was a conscious decision. Doing that it's always a bit easier to say that than actually doing it. So I think like for each of us, we had worked on different techniques and really worked on getting as much sound out of 4 members as we can, really. Because when you see us live, you'll be hearing like what you hear on the record. We can play that live. We've figured out how to create this depth of sound. I don't think you need to like add heaps of members on stage to get a big sound. You can still do that with 4 people. And so we've been able to do that from a lot of trial and error and trying to think of new ways to play stuff. But yeah, with this album, it got to the point where creating these things in the recording studio and the bedrooms, and it kind of got too big for my laptop and for the bedroom mixing setups, and it was like we needed something to fill out a stadium instead of filling out a bedroom. So that's when we made the decision, like let's take it all to Roundhead and we can get the most out of each sound and have it sounding big and lush and like a wall of sound at times. Yeah. I like to explain it like we knocked down the walls of the bedroom, went through the wilderness and found a stadium and rocked out on there.
I can definitely see that. It definitely kind of gives that, like that. I don't want to steal your analogy, but that was kind of what I was going to do, so I won't repeat it. But it does. Audibly, it sounds expanded. If that's something I can narrow it down to. Yeah,
and the title "Looking for Space" has lots of meanings, but like one of the meanings you could draw is all of our instruments, all of us finding space within the mix. If you're looking at it from a technical side, like we have found much more space in this album, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. I could definitely kind of see that, and would almost, even without speaking to yourself, maybe draw that analogy with the title and the newfound sound. For yourself, I know during, I think it was October 2020, in the process of writing the record, you yourself became quite ill with pneumonia and with, I'm going to mispronounce it, pleurisy, which just at the best of times isn't great. During recording an album in the middle of a pandemic, I imagine is a whole different kind of kettle of fish.
Yeah. It was the like lung aspect and not being able to breathe was a bit like worrisome when COVID was floating around. Didn't want to get double lung. But I had double pneumonia and pleurisy. And pleurisy sucks. It's like when your lungs, like the sac around them, gets infected or something and inflamed, and so every time you breathe, it hurts to breathe. And then like by breathing more to deal with the pain, it just gives you more pain, and you get in these like little cycles of like having panic attacks and then like not being able to breathe. And at one point I was on like, I think ventilator stuff. I was spending nights in hospital and lots of trips to the doctor. It wasn't fun. It kind of messed me up for a couple months. But it definitely had an influence on writing and outlooks and stuff. Pretty grateful to come out on the other side and a positive, like seeing it from a positive way, I think. I am quite an optimist and will try to find light always in a dark situation. And that's where songs like This Kind of Day and Music came out around that era, where I was trying to kind of make sense of it all and just keep hope. These moments will pass and it makes sense someday and we'll grow from it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, from what I read and kind of obviously we do our research into the bands, but as a side research into Pleurisy, it does sound like it's quite a scary thing. And I imagine that, especially as a singer, as a frontman, there's an element of or as someone who writes the songs, you're kind of wondering a combination of how am I going to move forward with this? And then, I guess, as you mentioned, this kind of day was a byproduct of that. Was that the first song that you wrote coming out of or recovering, from the sickness?
Yeah, I think it would have been just trying to remain positive and keep thinking.
This season, Instacart has your back to school. As in, they've got your back to school lunch favorites like snack packs and fresh fruit. And they've got your back to school supplies like backpacks, binders, and pencils. And they've got your back when your kid casually tells you they have a huge school project due tomorrow. Let's face it, we were all that kid. So first, call your parents to say I'm sorry, and then download the Instacart app to get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes all school year long. Get a $0 delivery fee with your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 an order. Additional terms apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
That things would get better. And they did. And it was a moment that passed. It was like the analogy I was thinking of, which is what I've written about in this kind of day, is looking at in my script for the music video, is looking out to the ocean one day and this gnarly storm was coming and just absolutely smashing the coast, and then you're just noticing that passes and that smashing and brutal moment is actually requisite for the beauty to come. It's all part of the beach being sculpted, and it's what makes the beach the beach. It's part of what makes the beach the beach. So yeah, I saw that moment like that. It was like a gnarly storm, but it passed and it sculpted me a little bit. Yeah.
That is incredible analogy, and I'm very glad, obviously, to see you've made it out the other side and that we're able to chat about the record.
Yeah, cheers.
I think one of the highlights for myself for the record, one of my favorite tracks was Hollywood Dreams, which I think showcases a little bit of a, maybe not a softer side, but a more, because it's still a Mild Orange sound in the track, but maybe a little bit more singer-songwritery, or I'm not sure what it was, but yeah, something with that resonated with me. Do you think that in future releases that you could possibly look at it? I've just realized that it sounds like I'm making this as a request. This is more an inquisitive thing, not a request. Can you just make me more songs like that? That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
That's cracker. There are a few more. It's just I've written. I was on this kind of songwritery buzz for a bit, where I was kind of like Beach Boys, Neil Young, kind of like a sparkly 60s Hollywood sort of sound. And that was one of the products of writing like that, and I still do like writing music like that. So yeah, that means a lot that you've requested that, because I'd be keen to put more music out like that. I know what you mean. I'm keen to keep working on that sort of side. And it wasn't intentional that there's all this side and then the other sides and stuff. It just kind of happens.
Yeah,
because we're always feeling different when we make stuff. So we're going to make songs like that, and we're going to make things like, What's Your Fire, which go absolutely erupt. So, always feeling different, always going to make different things. So, when it feels right, I guess more Hollywoody sort of tempo things are going to come out.
No, beautiful. Look, as I said, it was more meant as a inquisitive, but I've realised it's come across sounding requesty. But look, I'll gladly take whatever.
No,
comes.
That's good. That's good. It's epic. I'll have you in mind when I'm writing another 60s Hollywoodish ballad.
Done. Mild Orange is, I believe that you've just finished up some tour dates in New Zealand, but are about to, I think in the next 2 weeks, head off to London and then the US to support the album, which is very exciting. Yeah,
it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's very exciting. I mean, I can't really stress how excited we are. But yeah, I mean, a big part of what we love doing is traveling and seeing the world and playing music for people around the world and enjoying, new experiences. And we're very lucky to do that. But we haven't been able to do that for 2 years. I mean, it's the least of most people's problems, but we're just so excited to get out again and travel. We're leaving for London in a few days, and then we're going to play our album release show on the 10th, and then we're jetting to New York, and we'll start the US League, and then at the end of the US League, we'll be in Mexico City playing a show there. So, it's pretty exciting to be playing overseas again. The prospect is epic. We've been trying to go to Australia. We've tried so many times to come to Australia, but it just keep getting a roadblock in the way. Just haven't been able to. We've tried about 5 times, I think, in the past year or two.
That was my my next question, to see when, because I think there's the US, the UK. I think there's some further tour dates in September in Europe, but it was wondering when we might see you over here in Australia.
Yeah, it's tricky, because we did have dates to play even this weekend on the the 1st and what was it? Is it the 5th and 6th, I think, of February? We were going to be playing in Australia, but that got canned again. But it's top priority for us. We really, really want to get there, because we still haven't even been to Australia yet. Like, we've done Europe and stuff, but we've never been to Australia, which is our neighbour. So we'll try our best to get to Australia as soon as possible.
It does seem crazy to me that, only because I feel like when both an Australian band becomes like slightly big and vice versa with a New Zealand band, that, as you said, we're neighbours, we usually do kind of, the first to jump across the pond in the smaller pond is the sense of like, we tour New Zealand or you tour Australia, and it's still strange that we haven't been able to see you guys over here.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was like, from the get-go, like US and Europe were like kind of like a most engaged audience, and it's been kind of in the past year or two that NZ and Australia have really I mean, there's always been listeners from day one in Australia, New Zealand, don't get me wrong, but from the start it was very vocal from Europe and US, like, hey, come here. I guess we just hasn't lined up to come to Australia. We've been trying since the end of 2019, but for whatever reasons, there's just been things in the way. But we will keep trying. Yeah, it'll be a great day and fun.
If anything, when you do get here, because there has been that build-up, the rooms that you'll be playing are much bigger, the crowds will be much more excited, so it's almost like a kind of balances itself out in a way.
Yeah, the moment will be that much sweeter.
Exactly. Did you ever find it, not even odd, but like these days, obviously with the internet, everything else, it is possible for bands to kind of find their fan bases wherever they may be in the world. Did you ever find it interesting that Mild Orange did take off the way that it did overseas before it did even in New Zealand? Yeah, it was quite hazy. It's surreal, really. I'd sent off
I sent our music actually from day one though. Before we had released Foreplay, like the first album, which we released pretty much just in one go. We'd released like Stranger, but we had got a pretty good response from New Zealand at the start. But like people hadn't really been catching on like they have now. It took a while, but I sent our music off to Alona Chemres just before Foreplay was released, and I'd been following Alona for a while, and I'm like an avid YouTuber. I'm like the guy who will like comment on everything I watch and stuff, and like I love the YouTube community. And so I was like, we'd been making music, and I was like, hey, we're not half bad. I'm going to send our music to Alona or whoever, and they might like it. And then Alona posted Some Feeling in my site, and that's when that global audience really welcomed us. And it was pretty cool, pretty surreal. And then like from that moment onward, and since the start, we've maintained that we're a band from New Zealand for the world. Like, so despite us being from this little corner of the earth, we're making things with the intention that anywhere in the world can relate to or enjoy it, and then it's for everyone. Yeah,
that's very fair. I kind of like that. What is it? It's not a motto. That kind of creed. What is the word I'm looking for?
Let's call it a motto. It's fine.
Your mission statement
or motto or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, mission statement. That's nice. Yeah. I chuck that on a lot of our I do our graphics and stuff, and I chuck it on merch or whatever, or even on our socials or everywhere, because that is our mission statement. It's nice. Making it clear what we're trying to do, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Do you find, I know that we spoke earlier in the conversation about yourself being the songwriter, frontman, producer, you help with the mixing, as you just said, you help with the merch. Do you enjoy the aspect of kind of being across all aspects of the band, like kind of being able to make sure that it is still, Yeah, big time. And then, like Jar and I and Dom, who's in LA, we managed the project together. And I went to law school. I'll still do our contracts and stuff as well. I love doing every aspect of the band, really. I don't know. It's because I need to be doing stuff all the time. I'm very I like being busy, and I get really hectic if I don't have something to do. So I'm always doing stuff. I don't know. It's just this beast that is so hungry and just keeps needing to be fed, and I'm gladly feeding it all the time. And I can't help myself. Yeah, I don't know. It's nice not just doing music, because I feel like if I was like, no, I'm a guitar singer guy and that's all I do, then what would I be doing? Because I can't be doing that all the time. And so I think it's healthy to have this balance and be doing various things, which all work towards the goal of Mild Orange. Yeah. That's very fair. I can kind of I definitely know in terms of the always wanting to be busy and make sure that the beast is continuing to be fed. I can definitely recognize that that kind of feeling.
Yeah. Well, then it's not it just naturally happens too. There's little ideas that happen, and it's I think a part of why I like doing so many different things is because out of necessity I've had to teach myself, because I don't know how to translate it to someone else to help achieve it. So with the designs or production or whatever, it's I need this idea done now. I'm just going to figure out how to do it. I'm going to do it on my laptop or whatever, because I need to see it existing. So I think it comes from there too.
Yeah. I can I definitely definitely understand that feeling. Usually we would ask our guests what they're currently listening to. Is there any particular album or a single or whatever that's kind of caught your fancy at the moment?
I'm pretty much always listening to Mild Orange. So I'm trying to think. I've been listening to K-pop a bit. I've been loving K-pop. So my favorite song at the moment is called Hi Hi by Luna. I just love all the elements, like the music videos, and so well filmed and colourful. And I would recommend Cassandra Jenkins. I found her the other day. She's awesome. Hard Drive.
Yeah, fantastic record.
Yeah. Not sure how I found that record. Yeah. Found me.
Sometimes I find that like music like that, especially like the Cassandra Jenkins record, it finds its way to you and kind of burrows its way in somehow.
Yeah.
Mehrt, thank you very much for your time today. I do appreciate it. Congratulations on the new record for Mild Orange. Looking for Space is out this Friday, and we'll make sure we have all the links in the show notes so that people can buy the record.
Thursday.
Oh, it's out Thursday.
Thursday, February 10th. No, you're sweet. Thank you so much for having me and taking an interest in Mild Orange. And thanks. Appreciate it.
And that's our show. A massive thank you to Mehrt and Mild Orange for their time. Looking for Space is out tomorrow, and we've left links in the show notes if you'd like to buy the record or catch them on tour. We also want to give a huge shout out to Millie at Positive Feedback for helping out with today's interview. If you like this show, please subscribe wherever you get your pods and stay up to date when new episodes are released. We release new shows each Wednesday and Friday morning, and we now have a Patreon, which you can find within the show notes of this episode. You can follow the playlist profile on Spotify, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Until next week, cheers.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you? If people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else. Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.